The topic is Fortifying Trust, Strengthening Security and Governance in Public Sector Undertakings. And in order to moderate this session, I request Mr. Digvijaysinh, Partner Risk Advisor, Deloitte, India, kindly be on stage. May I request Mr. Akshaya Kumar Patel, GM IT Commerce and Chief Information Security, NTPC Limited, Mr. Manvendra Singh, CEO, NETRA, CGM and CISO, National Capital Region Transport Corporation, Mr. Vinay Shankar Maharaj, General Manager IT Services and Center Coalfields Limited, Sumit Kumar, Nodal Officer, Broadcast Engineering Consultants, India Limited, and Mr. Ayush Mehan, Sales Engineer, India and SAARC Forcepoint. Just a humble request, please make sure that our moderator is a very humble request to Mr. Digvijaysinh. You have to take care of the time, sir. And a round of applause, everybody.
Is it reduced to 35 minutes?
Yes, sir. We have to be
Very nice. बहुत ही बढ़िया. Very good evening. जितने बच गए उनके लिए. So दोस्तों, I have just given 35 minutes to complete this session. I will not take much of a time. I'll just give a context about this particular subject. Two areas before we start. We've been talking about PSU since morning, and before we go into asking question to my panel, just a thought that when we talk about fortifying trust का actual मतलब तो विश्वास ही होता है. So we are talking about सबका विश्वास from a subject line that Mr. Modi coined. सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास. And another line which I also now remember is that while we've been talking about PSU, the new word which has come in is the Atmanirbhar Bharat. I think PSUs were created for Atmanirbhar Bharat. And I think that is the main function of being a PSU. And thanks for all the panelists and I say all the PSUs actually. You know, the kind of, what we heard about PSUs, the kind of employment that it gives, the kind of revenue it gives to government. And of course, it also gives a very good important thing that we may not have discussed on this forum is primarily upliftment of the location where they are settled, right? So very important journey that they had, all of them. In this context, sir, मेरा खाली आपसे प्रश्न यही रहेगा because all of you are more from IT, the CISOs of the organizations. When we talk about fortifying security from trust perspective, we are talking about security and governance. Security में अगर हम देखें तो there are three other different kind of thoughts we can give that people can also understand. We can talk about physical security, which is the physical security of the entire PSU. Then you have digital security as you go inside the PSU and start using the various applications, and then you have a cyber security, right? We will focus more on a cyber security. So before we just jump on to asking question to the panel members, I have a very good friend of mine, Ayush, who is from a very good company, Forcepoint. डराना जरूरी है क्योंकि जब साइबर सिक्योरिटी की बात आती है तब जाना जरूरी है कि आप डर किससे रहे हैं. Threat is, what is the threat as of now?
So threat, there are multiple ways to look at it first, right? And before I get into the threat side of things, what I have realized, like working with Forcepoint from last 6 years, and definitely no offense to any of the PSUs, but one thing which all the PSUs do agree that cyber security is important, but we are facing a huge crunch on the skill set to actually understand the cyber attacks which are happening, right? That is the first part of it. But from a cyber security risk, I would say the threat is definitely, it is ever evolving. And if you look at the various reports across geolocations, they're talking about the amount, it is this industry of cyber security on the negative side by the hackers and all, it is like much more higher than the GDP of many countries together, right? And like it's over $10 billion, right? So 10 trillion, sorry. And when you look at the threat, the important aspect that most of the organization, industry or the customers on the other side are missing is they are putting best of the breed technologies perspective, but no one is looking at the behavior. And that's where the threat is coming in. We have put a very good threat-centric appliance on a network solution, but we are not looking at the behavior of a user, and that's where the attacks are happening, right? And if you look at all the attacks which have happened. The 𝗬𝗏 was a classic example which happened in Jan this year, right? Our defense personnel's data got exposed, right, on the internet. So there are many things which are happening, not only from the perspective of threat, but also from the data which is going exfiltrating and the amount of money the people are paying to get that data. And considering in the context of the public sector, these data are like very detrimental to the country's GDP overall if these data are getting leaked, right? If any manufacturing units, certain data goes out, right? So what happens to that particular public sector? It's like it will impact not only the that organization, it will also impact the growth of the country as well.
Absolutely.
So the growth of country is paramount.
Directly linked, I think, from
Absolutely.
a perspective of, again, I am using word trust because finally somebody is looking at you, from a trust perspective. And of course, when I take trust thought process to all the panel members, I think when you talk about trust, I think the trust is you are looking at your own employees to start with. Of course, your stakeholders who are invested in you, the government who is supporting you, of course, your vendors and partners who works with you, your customers, and of course, finally, the citizens who are, probably, looking at your organization and trust. So I'll give mic to all of you one by one. Please, in 2 minutes, if you can just give a thoughts in your perspective, what are you looking from a cybersecurity perspective, or just to maintain that trust level. Whatever you think about, how do I maintain that trust for the people around us or the stakeholders that you have, sir? We can start with you, sir. Please introduce yourself and then maybe.
Just one point before they start, and I guess you have placed a very important point. The employees, those who are working for you, always in a cybersecurity discussion, what we have seen in past, people used to start from the threats which are coming from outside. Insider threat is the biggest risk which is happening to any organization, irrespective of the vertical they are.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sir.
Yes. My name is Vinay Shankar Maharaj, and I am representing Coal India, looking after one of the subsidiary of Coal India, that is Central Coalfields Limited. We are the biggest miner of coal and we are powering our nation. Without coal, you cannot imagine the power. So that way, I am defining my organization. Now coming to IT, and just Mr. Chudasama told about the trust. Any of the PSU cannot stand if they cannot put the trust of the stakeholders, its employees, the contractors, the government, any stakeholder. If trust is not there, none of the PSU can survive.
Absolutely.
But the fallacy is, we are having around 300 PSUs in this country, but very few PSUs are really in IT sector. Because there are some threats, and still PSUs, most of the PSUs are depending on legacy system, and they are finding it difficult how to converge the IT system and the operating technology with them. That's from my side.
Thank you very much, sir. So very important question that you may have heard is that IT and OT is getting converged. And I think if I have just spoken earlier, the physical, digital, and even your cyber is getting converged, because now you want to really see that a person walking down inside the room, what is that person is all about, and how do I track that person's behavior, as my friend Manas also said, Ayush mentioned that insider threat is also increasing rapidly. Sir.
Namaskar, I am Manvendra Singh, CEO NETRA. NETRA is a subsidiary of National Capital Region Transport Corporation Limited. I will speak in Hindi and English both because I assume that everyone knows Hindi here. जब हम Fortifying Trust की बात करते हैं तो ट्रस्ट के विषय में आपने बता दिया है कि ट्रस्ट belongs to the consumer as well, trust belongs to all stakeholders. And when I say all stakeholders, it involves government, involves the financial, it involves the operational, it involves employee, and it involves last the most the customer itself.
Right.
जब हम स्ट्रेंथनिंग की बात करते हैं ट्रस्ट की, तो मेरे पर्सपेक्टिव में 3 चीज़ें आती हैं. हमको हमेशा स्टैंडर्ड्स के साथ चलना चाहिए. We shouldn't look into picks and holes and then cherry picking the things. मेरे ख्याल से we have a standard of IEC 62443 and 50701 where we have to look into that how the cyber security will be comprehensively managed. In that sense, there are three things. We can add a superlative to that: network, terminals, and then the retail consumer, or we call it as a IT customer. So add hostile against all the three things, and then you will have a very clear picture how cyber security is going to be done.
Absolutely.
Hostile network, hostile terminals, and hostile retail customer or consumer quality. The employee Ayush, my friend, was telling, it comes into the picture of hostile terminal. When we say hostile terminal, it means that you can trust humans, but you cannot trust machines. This is entirely a different phenomena. When we earlier thinking of that, you cannot trust human, you can trust machines. Right now, in each and every domain, we are regularly observing this. The CAPTCHA itself tells that if you prove you are a human, and then you are being looked into the system.
Absolutely.
So machines cannot be trusted, humans can be trusted.
Correct.
Because the technology has moved the leap forward, where humans with their bare hands can't do anything, but technology with any sort of things can, if you fortify it, then there is a technology available to break through it also.
Right.
So in my domain, these three things I
So I'll just add to that, Manvendra Singh ji. In my belief, and it is very important. In fact, last time when we had this PSU summit last year, I had also coined a specific thought on this line, is that while we are speaking about this, what is also happening with human is that we always used to have a terminology called people, process and technology. We've been living this from last 3 decades. And it has been normally, even today when I see all the RFPs coming out, it will talk about this. But things are now getting on a reverse way. Technology is changing the processes, and processes are directly impacting the behavior of people, right? And that we all have seen ourselves getting stick to using mobiles and everything on mobile, correct? So behaviors are changing. So while, sir, you are very right that we are currently can trust people, but again, the behavior of the people has to be managed and controlled. And I think that's where I think more of a digital security, or I would say user-based security will come a very important play. Patel sir, you've been there in this industry for almost decades, and now you have seen almost in so many years. Interestingly, I'm sure you can now substantiate that part of it. उस जमाने में शायद हमारे पास 5 कंपनियां होती जो सिक्योरिटी की बात करती थी. आज almost 130 companies are there which are all relevant. I'm not saying because आप all the 7 layers अगर देखेंगे starting from your endpoint to your asset, critical assets, there are companies available for everything and anything, correct? In your thought process, and because you are into one of the very critical infrastructure, PSU, how do you see that?
See, हम जब security की बात करते हैं, when we talk about security, it doesn't matter actually which area you are securing. First, जब trust की बात करते हैं, trust has to be inside. You have to trust yourself. You have to trust your team. You have to, and your peers. Peers in the sense, suppose we are in security. Now, I have to trust my team, my associated staff, then application developer, administrators, employees, and top management. And they should also trust. The trust level should be with security. Ki a security person is telling this is to be done. That level of trust we have to develop for this thing. Because at the end of the day, if your management is not trusting you enough, if you are putting this is to be done, and they are trying to verify it from outside whether it is to be done or not, the time delay will be there, and so trust building starts from within. If I am telling he may be my peers in security, and if I tell, please do like this, and say, no, saab galat bol rahe hain, aisa nahi hai. So we have to have that maturity, trust level. Now, once you have that trust at people level, now what you told is correct, people possess technology. But still, I feel people is the pillar, because ultimately the people will do. Technology will be brought by people. Technology will not bring people. People have to bring the technology. Process, once your people and process are in place, probably technology, because technology you can buy top grade antivirus, top grade EDR, top grade firewall, top grade technology, top grade everything. But ultimately some people have to configure it.
Correct.
You can buy technology, but you cannot make technology work for you unless the people is there, and that even if people is there perfect, your technology is there, if process is not proper, something, you have not proper certified process. Like I'll tell you, example, suppose you have a, your network is there, network, in that network, we have to see what are the, start from basics. If you are having a network, the outside is only internet, mail and USB. If it is a closed network, can you think anything else which may have coming? No.
Correct.
You have to think like USB. Can I block the USB? Can I block the, can I fortify my internet? Can I fortify my mail? So we have to start from that basic level to achieve a level where with trust, with some sort of certification, you can say I am secure enough. And you have to show this to complete in all your transactions with your, of course, without support from vendors and service providers, you cannot have them.
Correct.
Yeah, actually, I was working on Center of Excellence. So it's the data we are dealing with. It's more important what the means national importance data, where I can say that from the beginning the trust was involved, because it's a trust important when we see that trust allow us to access, and then when they allow us to access, then it will be the go for the change. For the trust, for doing the trust, because we are dealing of the important data of the some of the LEAs and law enforcement agencies and some defense sectors. So we have to follow the certain SOP guidelines for the employee perspective also, vendor sides also, and other, if the any third party application involved, and the product side also.
Okay, thank you, sir. Patel sir, आपने एक बहुत अच्छा important point बताया कि from people perspective we make the technology, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Now I'm going to push another ball to you, which is we created AI.
Correct.
And we are also creating deepfakes.
Yes.
Right? In this, when you are creating so much of stuff, well, there will be no human interaction, and these are the things which will now start coming into your networks, or it will get impacted on your security. How do you think that something like this can be stopped?
See, as for me, I may not be correct fully. What my perspective is, if your basics are correct, basics means complete basics, no exceptions. Basics are correct, your process is correct, and your procedures are correct. You can find it, the security can be found out, and we can tackle this. Because most of the things, if you see exceptions, like social engineering, if your process is correct, you are not allowing your people to be aware enough to, and one thing is ownership and awareness. People should be take ownership of their actions, their domains, whatever. One people using some, he is a main plain user. Now he can be either carrot or stick. If you can think that person is, अगर click करता है, उसका responsibility उसको पता है, अगर गलत होगा तो I may be penalized. Or तो once that level of thing is got into it, he takes ownership of that click. अगर वो PC देखता है, then उस PC का ownership उसका है. एक system है that way each and everything if ownership is defined, everybody feels inclusive enough.
Right.
Because it should not security. We say security is not a others' jobs. Security has to be inclusive. Now you have to build your systems, because this is basics. Put all AI and everything, but if people are not involved, inclusive enough to take their decisions, then.
So I think awareness and education continuous basis is more important
Yes.
for the teams which are working on it. I will go back to Vinay ji again. Vinay ji again has a long experience, sir. While you said coal India, without coal we cannot live, because 50% of the entire energy is coming from coal. Of course, you have hydro and nuclear energy and all that, but still in India 50% of the entire electricity that you have is coming from coal. Sir, in your perspective, because again it is a very critical infrastructure that you are managing, or I would say PSUs that you are mentioning. What are the threats that you believe can disrupt the entire supply chain as of today?
You see, when we are talking about supply chain, that means
Supply chain of coal to the, yeah.
not only coal sector,
Yeah.
any sector, any PSU, they are not doing the things at their own only. They are somewhere dependent over the suppliers, they are dependent over some contractors. They are not doing all the job at their own. They are taking help. There are some service sector who are giving services to these organizations. Now what's happening when we are talking about supply chain, the security what we are maintaining, that is not related to our own cyber security only. That is related to the suppliers or the contractors with whom we are taking the services. If we are secured, but we are giving access to them and their services are not secured, then that may affect us.
Okay.
So what should be done? First of all, regular audit not only of your organization, but when you are going to select the suppliers, due diligence must be there. You select the suppliers, get their system also audited time to time, regular monitoring. These are the key aspects through which any of the cyber security aspects can be tackled. Of course, collaboration. When you collaborate with the experts, they will also give you some solutions. These are the things I think
Yes, sir, very
any of
nice.
the PSU.
Very important thought that you have shared, because what we call in now new language to this is what we call a third-party risk management.
That's
right, and it is very important that we continuously do on a basis that any supplier vendor that you have should be Manvendra, right? If I'm not, you're right, Manvendra Singh. Yeah, so you are young among the other two PSUs from an age perspective and the new technology that you are using in your perspective of, and I'm sure you are also getting a lot of funding when it comes to investments on this technology and it comes to cyber security. In your view, when sir actually said about dependency on the OEMs and the suppliers, what is that you look at from a supplier, or I would say from a security viewpoint again, because you are going to making sure that everything that you're going to install is public, right? And you are allowing some companies to come in and provide you services.
I will put it to this perspective that we are running the Namo Bharat trains. That is the highest speed train running in India, 160 kmph operational speed. This technology we have inducted just before this panel. One panel was there, and there was a sort of a consensus that Bharat is not moving towards an innovation strategy, and we are just following someone. To just break that negativity, I will just put into that terms that Bharat, apart from this railway technology, we are the first one globally in approximately 8 to 9 technologies, not only from the innovation point of view, but for the implementation point of view also. I'll just name few so that we have something to carry and take away from here. That Bharat is not at that front, that we are just following some.
I completely agree.
So first of all, I will say that is the LTE 4G technology. Globally, no railways has put into the operation, and this is the first time that Bharat, apart from specification, we have implemented and successfully running the Namo Bharat trains on this LTE 4G technology. Second one, ETCS L3 specification, that was a hybrid level 3. It was only in the papers that even Europe, who have formed the specifications, they are still struggling to implement this since last 4-5 years. And within a span of around 1 and 2 years, Bharat was able to successfully implement it, and we are running successfully 160 kmph trains on this. Be it rolling stock, be it energy, be it solar, you name anything. And this building information modeling, BIM model we call it, right from the concept stage of design up to the initial stage of application. Implementation of AR, VR technology in the maintenance, IoT based maintenance of predictive systems. And these technologies we are not imported from anywhere. This is in-house R&D being performed by NCRTC team. And I will request everyone present here that if you find time, please do visit NCRTC, please do visit our facilities, so that we are on that positive note of front that Bharat can do it and is doing it.
Absolutely, I completely agree. इसमें कोई मतलब ही नहीं है, तालियां होनी चाहिए इस बात पे. दूसरी बात हम जो भूल जाते हैं हमेशा कि now other countries are sending their satellites to us to send it to orbits, right? So at the way we are innovating, I think there is no end to it. And of course, each of these PSUs, in fact, I have been interacting with most of the PSUs, they already are doing certain activities and certain products and solutioning. I don't think anybody else in the globe is even thinking about it.
And now moving to this cyber security sector.
Yeah.
Cyber security, NCRTC has designed in such a way our architecture that last year we were in Spain presenting our showcase study to how the cyber security is being performed, and even European countries, which are Israeli countries, for this sector offense. I will not name the companies, but they were also thinking that, okay, please give some consultancy to us that how you are implementing it. I'll put it into 3 terms. Earlier I said that 3: network, and then terminal, and then the retail customer. So if you design, earlier what was the concept, that IT was only managing, or let's say monitoring the situations. And suddenly last 1 or 2 years the traction is towards that the operational technology, which was the core business of any PSU, these are also being controlled by IT. And when I say the OT or operational technologies are controlled by IT, there comes a larger challenge for the cyber security business. Because if you are monitoring and your data is being only monitored and it is being, let's say, compromised, you are in a position to retrieve the data. But certainly if the controlling system of the operational technologies are being compromised, you are nowhere. So how we have designed it? We have segregated the network at the first layer. We have a 3-phase strategy. First, you segregate the network. How you segregate the network? You make an operational technology in the old era where it was confined in only one domain. Now, information shouldn't always be pulled up from any operational technology. When you are allowing information to be pulled up, you are opening the channels for being compromising. Now what you do, you always push the information. When you are pushing the information, firewall or software-based solution cannot do it. So what you have to do, you have to go for hardware-based gateways, where you only pushing the information in one direction. Now you are pushing the information from OT to a central server. And from that central server, you are putting hostile terminal to be checked in. Where comes the AI involvement of this? Ayush has just mentioned that now you think over it that any passive listening of the switches, and then go for the AI behavioral monitoring, what we were talking about. I'm not talking human, because human cannot do anything. Machine, if the machine was allowed with the MAC ID that you have to go certain this of permission, and now you are moving ahead of that permission, you are trying to do something, you are trying to push some network, some traffic data, then you just log that. And then here comes to another way, how the retail customer will access this data. You are pushing every data to a cloud, taking an on-prem server also. You don't allow anyone to come to on-prem server directly, but the information has to be changed at your end itself. You make a system such as that if you are asking in some protocol, now I will decipher all the packets. I will check whether you are asking the information which is to be desired. I will repacket it and then push it to my system. So these 3 strategies can always, like sir was saying, that you have your basics clear, that no, I will build this system like this, then anyone can challenge me that, okay, I will come and do. In my
maybe what we call a zero trust architect, possibly.
Yes,
I think.
Architecture, you can call it in a nutshell as zero
Correct.
trust.
Anybody has a questions for this panel? Because I have questions for you then in that case. No, never mind. Okay, before we end, we don't have much of time. I will give 1 minute to each of you. Please give 2 liners just for the information of the team members that what should they do in 2 manners. One is to personal security hygiene. कम लोग बैठे हैं ऐसे में ना, उनकी खुद सिक्योरिटी होनी जरूरी है. And second thing, something that they can do for their own organization. विनय सर आपसे शुरू करें. पर्सनल हाइजीन की बात हो रही है, जिसमें साइबर सिक्योरिटी से हम कैसे बचें. पहले तो एक सिंगल थॉट जैसे आप करते होंगे कि भाई मैं ये चीज़ करता ही नहीं. वैसे मेरे मोबाइल पे आई डू नॉट हैव अ सिंगल ऐप विच आई यूज़ फॉर मेकिंग पेमेंट्स. नॉट अ सिंगल ऐप. While I am into cyber security for the last 27 years, I do not have a single app in my mobile, even today as we speak, which I use for making payments.
Very tough question उन्होंने कहा है कि मैं क्या करता हूँ, क्योंकि मैं अगर जो करता हूँ अगर बोलूँगा तो शायद आपको हंसी आ जाए.
नहीं सर बिल्कुल।
मैं बैंकिंग ट्रांजैक्शन जिस मोबाइल से करता हूँ उसमें डिफरेंट टाइप के कॉल्स मैं अटेंड नहीं करता हूँ। इफ आई डोंट रिकॉग्नाइज द कॉल्स आई जस्ट डोंट पिक अप, विच आई डू, आई डोंट नो।
नहीं वेरी गुड सर, इट्स अ वेरी गुड टिप। इनफैक्ट मेरे 3 डिफरेंट अकाउंट मैनेज किए हुए हैं खाली पेमेंट्स करने के लिए, एंड दैट आई ओनली डू, एंड इनफैक्ट दैट बैंक अकाउंट ऑल्सो विल हैव मनी ओनली फॉर मेकिंग दोज पेमेंट्स।
तो बड़ा ही ट्रिवियल
नहीं ठीक है,
सॉल्यूशन है। सेकंड चीज, आज बहुत लोगों से आपने सुना होगा सोशल इंजीनियरिंग। सोशल इंजीनियरिंग के बारे में बहुत सारी डेफिनेशंस आपको मिली होगी। आपके पास कोई भी यूआरएल आता है, आप उसको क्लिक करते हैं, क्लिक करने के बाद आपको किसी साइट पे ले जाता है। उस साइट पे हो सकता है आपको प्रॉम्प्ट हो, आपका केवाईसी का डिटेल्स देना हो या कुछ भी हो, या फिर कुछ ऐसा इन्फॉर्मेशन हो जो आपको कहीं पे कुछ विन करने जा रहा है। अगर आप उस ट्रैप में फंसे, हो सकता है वो एक्सपोनेंशियल हो। तो कुछ चीज़ों पे अगर छोटी चीज़ें हैं, अगर आप ध्यान देंगे और साथ में सिर्फ ध्यान नहीं दें। कभी किसी फिल्म में आपने सुना होगा कि एक आदमी ने 3 जो मैसेज वो 3 को बताया, वो 3 ने बाकी 3 को बताया। आप जो करते हैं और अगर आपको लगता है कि ये सही है तो अपने आसपास वालों को एजुकेट जरूर करें। जितने सारे PSU हैं उनको शायद पता होगा, साइबर जागरूकता दिवस मिनिस्ट्री मनाती है एवरी फर्स्ट वेडनेसडे को। तो हमारी इंडस्ट्री में हमने एक छोटा सा काम किया। आप अगर मैं सेंट्रल कोलफील्ड्स के वेबसाइट पे जाएंगे तो एवरी वीक 52 सप्ताह होते हैं, एवरी वीक एक साइबर सिक्योरिटी का कोर्स आता है। एटलीस्ट 52 साइबर सिक्योरिटी कोर्स हम डालते हैं हमारे वेबसाइट को। कोई भी अगर हिट करता है तो वो देखता है कि उसके साथ में होने वाले बहुत सारे कार्यकलापों पे क्या असर हो सकता है अगर उस कोड को वो फॉलो करे।
थैंक यू विनय जी,
That's all.
थैंक यू वेरी मच, थैंक यू वेरी मच। सुमित, you want to take up? Just quickly, 1 minute, not more than that. We are losing.
Actually, I start with the one sentence is there. Human can keep secret, computer not. So the important part is when we talk about the cyber security, the machine is attacking to the machine. So better you can create the dummy things. So machine have to learn, and then they can mean. So if the hacker will be act like that, then it will be the something like that. It not get the real data.
Patel sir.
Yeah, I can say few things or 2 things. एक तो नेटवर्क लेवल पे आर्किटेक्चर शुड बी सच, अगर कोई मालवेयर आ भी जाए तो इट विल नॉट हैव एनी, इट कैन नॉट डिटोनेट इटसेल्फ। लाइक सिंपल एग्जांपल मैं देता हूँ। सपोज आपका ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में ब्राउजिंग के लिए अगर इंटरनेट आप यूज करते हैं एंड इनकमिंग इंटरनेट है, आपका सर्विसेज हैं, एप्लीकेशंस हैं, अगर सेम इंटरनेट यूज करते हैं, दैट मीन्स यू आर अलाउइंग फ्रॉम सेम नेटवर्क गोइंग एंड कमिंग। इफ यू कैन सेग्रीगेट एक्सटर्नल जाने के लिए अलग रास्ता, आने के लिए अलग रास्ता, इवन इफ योर सर्वर्स इज इन्फेक्टेड विथ मालवेयर, it cannot have CNC connectivity and it cannot detonate. So this way, simple architecture में you can protect things. Even if virus आ गया, ransomware आ गया, but unless it has CNC connection, it will never be activated. This is one thing. Second is you should not outsource your core cyber security services. It doesn't include SOC services. Of course, SOC is a extended service to outsiders. It should be own employee for pure core security services, planning, execution core. Okay, you can have extended arm, outsource arms, not mind. Thank you.
सर एक छोटा सा आपका पर्सनल टिप कि जो आप करते हैं जो आपको सिक्योर रखता है पर्सनली।
पर्सनली व्हाट आई डू इज जो मोबाइल में सामने बताया, I never played no game you'll find in my mobile. Only some apps like WhatsApp, this thing for inserts I use for news, and this type of basic functions and bank applications मिलेगा आपको. No frivolous app. I don't have any this in this mobile. I don't use any.
Thank you very much, sir. Very interesting. Manvendra Singh. Two tips, personal
things
and
I will just add. You said that it should be a personal level of
Yes.
protection. So I will say that there are two things to be kept in mind. First, जब आप ट्रैप में फंसते हैं तो आप हमेशा पैसे के लिए फंसते हैं. Money is the only criteria where you say that trap is very easy. Here is a tip that nothing is free in this world. If you are being asked that this is free, you are the consumer itself and you are the data itself. So आप ये बिल्कुल मान के चलिए कि इस विश्व में, संसार में कुछ भी फ्री नहीं है. अगर कोई भी कह रहा है, do not click it. Second is that nothing should be memorized by your machine, whether it is mobile, is anything. आप पासवर्ड रख रहे हैं, immediately delete it. कोई भी चीज़, जैसे अभी मैंने देखा कई सिस्टम्स में होता है कि आप क्या अपने कार्ड्स की डिटेल मेमोराइज कराना चाहते हैं सो दैट नेक्स्ट ट्रांजेक्शन पे आपको बहुत मेहनत नहीं करनी पड़ेगी. प्लीज़ अवॉइड इट. इफ़ यू आर हैविंग एनी ट्रांजेक्शन, do it once, delete every memory, because any machine, any trapping is being formulated only just because there is some memory, some data in your machine.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Just to one second, one more thing.
Sure, sure.
No, you should not link your primary account. UPI should not be enabled on your primary account. You should always have secondary account through which you have to link UPI, because UPI can always be breached. That and GPay, Paytm, PhonePe, all these. If this is breached, there is no protection up to bank level. Bank will not ask anything. So primary account must not be having UPI. UPI should be disabled at bank level.
आयुष बिल्कुल लीजिए.
An example.
मैडम 2 मिनट लेता हूँ एक्स्ट्रा.
There is an incident for a girl which is a renowned daughter of a renowned chief minister of India. She was doing some transaction and one mail came to her that you are doing so much of thing, and as a gift we are saying that okay, you are eligible for a 35,000 payback. Now, but just I want to check whether your account is okay or not. So just send me 500 rupees and then I will just transfer 35,000. So the girl sent 500 rupees on their account, and then this was, and suddenly she got the rupees of 10,000. Now the person who was getting the 35,000, he asked her that मैम आपको 35,000 रुपये मिल गए क्या? तो उसने नहीं 10,000 आए. ओह मैंने तो 35 भेजे थे, ये कैसे हो गया? तो ऐसा करिए मैम, वो 10,000 रुपये आप मुझे रिटर्न कर दीजिए, मैं आपको 35,000 भेजता हूँ. नाउ द गर्ल इज इन ट्रैप. शी सेज कि अभी तो इसने 10,000 भेजे थे, उन्होंने 10,000 वापस कर दिए. अभी ये रोका नहीं बंदा, इसने फिर से दोबारा, मैम मैंने आपको भी 35,000 भेजे थे, वो आपके आ गए क्या? बोले नहीं मैंने तो 10 भेज दिए, अभी तक कुछ नहीं आया. तो उन्होंने कहा अच्छा रुकिए मैम, इसने 20,000 भेजे. नाउ ही सेज कि मैम अब आ गए क्या 35,000? कहते नहीं 20 ही आए हैं. तो अच्छा आप 20 भेज दीजिए, मैं आपको बहुत गड़बड़ हो गई हमारी साइड से, वी वेरी सॉरी फॉर द कंपनी, नाउ वी आर गिविंग यू एन एक्स्ट्रा बोनस, तो अब हम आपको 50,000 देंगे. तो अब पर आपको 20 के साथ में 10,000 और देने पड़ेंगे, क्योंकि मेरी कंपनी कह रही है कि आपने तो 35 दे दिए थे, तो अब मैम अभी मैं आपको अपनी कंपनी की तरफ से 30 दे रहा हूँ, तो वो 35 वापस आ जाएंगे तो मैं कंप्लीट कर दूंगा. This girl is trapped into 2,38,000.
Yeah, I remember discreetly about this case.
2,38,000 and she hasn't got anything. This is the daughter of a chief minister of India. And now we can say that nothing is free in this world.
Absolutely.
कुछ भी जीरो नहीं है. आप बिल्कुल मान के चलिए, कोई आपसे 1 रुपया भी मांग रहा है, you are in a trap. That's it.
Correct. Ayush, last mic to you and final verdict from your end. Being
so
from
I have made a lot of list of points that I wanted to discuss, but in the interest of time,
you just give your thoughts in terms of just 2 pointers for this PSUs.
Yeah.
2 good thought that you can live with them. This is what you should do as your advice to them.
Yeah. So my advice is very simple. We have talked about trust. Trust is good to have, but always make sure that you are verifying continuously. Trust, but verify continuously. Second, always look at the behavior of your users, both digitally as well as the way they are interacting with within your office. That will give you a clear sense where they are heading to. Are they a normal user, or they can pose some kind of risk? Because we have enough reactive technologies in place. We have to move to left of loss, so you have to have predictive analysis in place. by technology and by being vigilant. And I guess one of the points that I noted before I wanted to conclude, I want to repeat what Manvendra mentioned. Free, there is nothing as free. If there is something free, you are the product. Be careful about it. Never trust anything. And on the personal side, on the applications that we are installing on our phones, always look at the permissions that you are giving. Because ultimately, whenever we are installing any application, we say next, 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 or we simply allow any, I would say, any kind of permission to the applications. So be careful about that.
Thank you.